What are you doing?
Stacking sets.
Hi y'all, welcome to Windshield Time. It is Day and Arry. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, welcome to Windshield Time. For those of that are joining in for the first time, this is a podcast about money and Bitcoin, and we make it as easy and as simple for you as possible. And fun. Fun for me.
All right, thanks again for joining us. This is Wednesday, September 2nd, about 10 p.m. because we're always doing this at night when the kids are in bed, and the hellish world of child raising is at a little bit more of a calm situation. Episode number 104, COVID-19 pandemic show number 24. So 24 weeks, which means it's about 6 months in this whole situation that we're in globally.
My name is Arry at Arry in Seattle, and this is
Luggage Donkey is what I go by in Twitter. All right, so tonight, this week, we're doing something special.
Yeah, we're breaking out. It may be the pandemic, but we decided we'd stop having only us and kind of go out. And actually, it was Dave's birthday recently. And so for his birthday gift, because, you know, he's making me budget more, did a little bit more of an experience gift. And so we went and talked to our friends at Atomo Coffee, specifically Andy Kleitsch, who's the CEO. And hence we're wearing the gear.
The Atomo gear, yes, exactly. The lighting.
The
lighting is not good, but yeah, we got some awesome swag, and we're always loving the swag around here. At least I'm loving the swag. And you can find them on Twitter, Atomo Coffee. It should be right here.
Very good. It was really good. So we actually went there and we did a taste testing. We got to ask Andy a bunch of questions, check out his office. We went home with a bunch of gear, face masks, t-shirts, a jacket.
And the summer isn't over yet, but you know, this is an awesome jacket. I'm gonna love wearing this jacket. Thank you, Andy and team over there at Atomo. Really appreciate it. And then of course I have to break out of this and go.
I can't do that.
With the Bitcoin is Russell Okung's event that we went to last year. In LA, exactly. And so this is one of my favorite shirts.
So I was wondering, I mean, it's not winter yet. I mean,
yeah,
it's a little too early to be wearing.
Just gotta show off the swag.
Yeah. Well,
we don't give financial advice here. We do give our opinions sometimes about what's going on in the economy, what's going on with stocks, what's going on with money. Of course, we talk about Bitcoin a little bit. Thank you to the WTIA for the continued sponsorship.
Yes, the Washington Technology Industry Association, representing over 1,100 technology companies in the Pacific Northwest, creating one collective voice when it comes to talking to and bringing together innovators, policymakers, and investors.
Yeah, you can find them on Twitter, and their handle is only 4 letters. It's WTIA.
Or WashingtonTechnology.org.
Yes. And then this is not only a podcast, but it's also a YouTube show. I haven't fixed up the studio to where the audio is going to be even more better for the podcast, but I have some pretty good gear, and I actually got an accessory which is making this show logistics and just kind of set up even better. And so there'll be some more stuff that happens later on, I think, to make the show better, the audio a little bit better, even though it's pretty good right now.
Thanks for all you do with that, Dave.
Surely.
Hey, so what's the price of Bitcoin at?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. So we are sitting at a nice level. It's $11,300. Yes, and so we did hit 12,000 again, I believe it was yesterday, the day before yesterday. And then we promptly plunged about $700 right after that. And so it's a very dramatic looking chart if you only look at the single day or 1 week chart. But then if you zoom out, it looks like nothing is going on.
There's a lot of volatility that happens intraday, intra-week, intra-month, but it is still the best performing asset class of 2020, It's also the best asset class of the past decade, the past year. So, you know, don't fret too much.
Don't be too afraid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, remember, you can always buy more than $1 Bitcoin. But you can buy $1 Bitcoin, you can buy $5 Bitcoin, you can buy a whole Bitcoin, but you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin.
So one of the basics about Bitcoin is that you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. Even though it's $11,000, around $300 right now, you can buy $10 worth. A partial Bitcoin is very much encouraged.
And partial Bitcoins is made out of Satoshis. There are 100 million Satoshis in every one Bitcoin, just like there are 100 pennies in every $1. So if you want to figure out how many Satoshis are in $1, what we do is what we call hashtag Satoshi math. And so we take $1 and divide it by 0.00011300, press a Bitcoin, and you get 8,800 Satoshis in every one US dollar.
Approximately 8,800 sats per dirty US fiat dollar. And I was gonna say something. Oh. The reason why is 0.00011,300 is because you take the price of Bitcoin and you decimalize it into 8 decimal places because there's 100 million sats per
100
Bitcoin.
million.
And that's Satoshi math.
Ta-da! And in case you didn't know, I got a haircut. See? Okay.
It looks lovely.
Thank you.
Thanks to Maddie Sats, Matthew Ryan Case out there for doing our disclaimers. That's at the end of every show. All right, so we're gonna just jump right into the Atomo Coffee visit and the taste testing that we did. Super fun.
By the way, I hate the taste of coffee. He drinks a lot of coffee, but with tons of sugar and milk. And so you'll see our two different perspectives.
Yep. It's a beautiful day in Seattle to go taste some Atomo Coffee.
Yum, yum, yum.
Look at that. Ha ha ha. Somebody got their mask on. Good job. We are here. Alright, we're hot.
Alright. Do it. Welcome to Atomo Coffee.
Thank you for having us.
Really glad to have you here.
Super psyched.
I'm really excited to share this with you. These, you know, what you're about to taste here. This is a taste test, right? So, Atomo is one of these. We're not going to tell you which one, but we want you to go through.
I'm so excited.
Exactly. So, we want you to go through and try the different cold brews. Some of these are the most popular cold brews in the market today.
Okay.
And of course, you know, one isn't. And so we want to know which one you like best.
Okay.
And so what I'd like you to do as part of this taste test is go through and just quickly kind of get yourself, you know, comfortable. Like try a little bit, and then we're going to go through and talk about a tasting notes for each one.
Okay.
This is for our benefit. So I know you have your show and what you guys might want to show and not show, but for us at Atomo, we like to get tasting notes from people just to, you know, hear what you think about it. And then we'll reveal which one is ours, right?
Okay.
So let's just kind of go through and take a little test,
Okay.
you know, just to get yourself kind of your palate going.
Are we gonna synchronize
Just
on which ones?
no, just kind of
Okay.
do a smell, do a test, and then we'll go back. So don't chug it all, you know, but we'll go back and.
Oh, it's not bad.
Don't influence my opinion.
Oh man.
We're married, right?
Do you have an opinion? Because does it that matters? All right, now we talked about your coffee preferences, but what are they again? Like, do you guys like coffee? Do you ever drink?
Come on.
Do you ever drink black coffee just normally?
I drink black coffee occasionally. Yes, I do. It's not often, but I do recognize the I guess the nuances of purely black coffee.
Oh yeah. Don't have a chaser. Okay, this is really good.
Oh wow.
That's horrible. What is that? That's disgusting. By the way, I don't like coffee at all.
Hilarious. All right. Take some water to chase down these coffee samples. Okay.
Tequila.
All right. That's a little bit of water for you.
Well, it's not that bad.
Yeah, all right. Well,
Bean is like.
and keep in mind, these are leading cold brew coffees. That
What are you
in the
people
market.
drinking? All right, let's just smell the blue. That's okay. It's not as offensive.
Yeah, so I wanted you to just kind of quickly try them first because sometimes you forget what coffee tastes like or, you know, or what's out there. So, all right. So good. So now that you've gone through them, let's, I know, you know, Arry, you've had some strong reactions to a few of these. Like, let's get some tasting notes really quick. Like,
Well, to all of them.
well, or was there one that in particular that you didn't like right away that you, I mean, I saw a pretty good face there. Which one was it that was making
Green
you?
was terrible.
Green.
What
Let's
is
talk
that?
about, let's talk
That's
about green.
disgusting.
So, what are some tasting notes here?
Tasting notes?
Mm-hmm.
We have to do it again.
It's really bitter at the end.
All right, bitter at the end.
Bitter at the end, yeah.
It smells a little bit like bird pee.
Bird pee, that's a good one. I haven't heard that one before.
It's really foamy too, like compared to the other ones. I didn't understand why it was so foamy.
So you write your notes.
Bird pee.
Bird pee, good.
And then taste it again.
Yeah.
I like to cleanse the palate.
Makes you want to gag.
Oh man! All right.
Hopefully that wasn't the Atomo one.
I don't know if I've ever seen this before. We've done a lot of coffee tastings and no one has ever gagged on that. But this is good. This is really good. You really don't drink black coffee. Okay, that's good. So I won't make you do that one again, all right? Let's not do that one again.
Gag.
What was another one you're having a strong reaction to?
And it like totally fills the whole bag and like gets clogged there with
Wow.
a horrible taste.
Okay, that's amazing. That is an amazing reaction right there. What was the other one?
Also, it's kind of neutrally, like no real like you know, because
watery.
people talk about chocolate. And,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
other
You weren't getting a lot of that.
flavors.
No, there's no flavor. It's just gagging,
It's just
clogging,
gagging.
bird pee, foamy barf.
Oh, wow, good. Okay.
I would have to put like double the amount of sugar and cream to make that palatable.
Nice. All right, let's go to the next one.
Let's never do that again.
Which one do you want to go next?
That was green.
Which one do you want to do next?
The other gross one was red.
Red, let's do red. Let's try it.
Yeah. It also smells kind of pee, like pee.
So it's stronger in the beginning. Stronger in the beginning, and then the finish is less bitter.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, you're more of a coffee drinker.
So stronger in the beginning, less bitter.
Yeah, less bitter than some like, let's see here.
Just like tastes like your.
Generally smoother.
It's smoother than the green.
Generally.
Smoother than the green. Yeah,
There you
so
go.
a bit smoother. So still.
Gaggy.
Still you just don't like black coffee at all. That's true. Okay, but smoother. You're saying a little bit smoother than the green.
Smoother than the green, I'd say. Yeah.
Less bird pee smell than green. Less gaggy than green.
But it had more up front and less bitter at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what
definitely
you're saying.
at front. Yeah,
Okay.
at front.
All right. Let's try the blue.
Blue? Okay.
Blue.
Very smooth.
Very smooth.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, it's not like strong at the beginning or end. It's more uniform. I'd say.
This is horribly bitter.
This is horribly bitter. Is there anything in it that any taste notes? Is there any? Are you tasting anything?
Dirt?
Do you taste any kind of like this one in particular? I think ashy, smoky, maybe. Like, do you taste?
It's like cigar.
It's like a cigar.
Oh, maybe so. Yeah. Smoky-ish.
I'm putting words in your mouth here, but I'm
Yeah.
trying to help you guys. Like tasting notes, like you know, you kind of can
Tasting
taste
words.
there's kind of a bit of a smoke.
Which
Or
reminds me, I've been meaning to buy some smoky whiskey. Like, I heard Japanese
Oh.
whiskey is
yeah,
nice
yeah.
and smoky.
Yeah, get the Yamazaki, please.
All right, so there you go. There's that one.
Yeah. It's like
Okay.
it's it's
Smoky.
uniform throughout.
Not gaggy, not barfy like yellow,
Oh,
green, and
okay,
not
wow,
barfy.
good. All right, awesome. All right, let's try this last one then. Yellow.
Okay.
Yellow is the least offensive. It smells a little bit like berries or something.
Yeah, totally. There's a lot more flavors to this one. Yeah, very flavorful. Yeah.
It's more like a tea. It's like you know those Taiwanese black teas where they like burn the leaves,
Oh. I've never
and then
had
they
that.
like bury it underground for a while.
Wow.
It's like pu'er and oolong burnt tea.
Nice.
I think that's actually one of the stronger, like it's a stronger flavor notes.
Organic tasting.
Stronger flavor notes.
It reminds me of tea. Pu'er.
So Arry hates them all.
Taiwanese
She wants to add cream and sugar to every single one.
oolong tea.
All right, so if you had to pick one as your favorite, which one of these would be your favorite?
Definitely the yellow.
Yellow?
Yeah.
Hold on. Okay, so not that one.
Yes. But not as barf as green.
So I was able to, I did a taste test with a whole bunch of friends, and I took Mexican Coke, which is real sugar.
Right, sure, right.
And then I took, canned regular
Right.
American Coke.
Right.
I did a taste test with a whole bunch of
Yeah,
friends.
right.
I was the only one to guess the Mexican Coke.
Really?
Yeah, the whole time.
Maybe
Yeah.
you're a super taster. Right.
I'm just a gagger.
Right.
That's pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's not as offensive.
Yeah, 'cause it's-
That's a B.
Well, everyone has their own different style of coffee they like. You know, some like a more bitter in your face, and some like a smoother.
Yeah, probably not that one.
Yeah, green is awful. I'm sorry if it's a Atomo.
Well, I'm going to ask you in a second. As soon as Dave tells us which one is his favorite.
It's between those two.
Which two?
Blue and
Blue
yellow.
and yellow.
Blue and yellow. Okay.
Okay.
Which one do you think is Atomo? So write down blue or yellow for which one is your favorite.
Okay.
Dave, just so we can keep track of that.
Just one last taste.
Yeah, sure.
So serious. Gee.
Yeah.
He really is taking this very seriously.
We're in a groundbreaking moment here.
This is the future of coffee.
Future of coffee.
But I mean, it's encouraging that you're trying them all and you're still trying to figure out which one or which one you like
I
best.
can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
I can tell. Yeah. So I'd say my personal preference is going to be, I'd say blue probably.
Blue. Yeah. Sounds like it's
less strong.
Sounds like you definitely don't like the other two, but blue or yellow or and yellow and blue's your favorite. Good.
Yeah. And then,
all right.
But that's a second. If I wanted more flavor,
Mm-hmm.
because there's one blend of coffee in the Keurig that I've been drinking lately that's definitely more flavorful,
Mm-hmm.
and so that reminds me of that.
Okay.
That's more coffee. That's more tea.
All right. So which one's your favorite, or which one do you think is Atomo? Sorry.
Oh, dude. I would have guessed the Atomo would be very uniform because I've read a little bit about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would think that the taste would not be strong in the beginning or the end. I thought it would be pretty uniform throughout. So I would have guessed the blue.
I'll guess yellow then.
All right. You ready for the big reveal?
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull this cheat sheet out of my pocket. Okay. So let's go with one you didn't like very much.
Green was terrible.
Green. That is Hi-Brew.
Oh, that's disgusting. Never,
So,
ever buy
Hi-Brew.
Hi-Brew.
Never.
Hi-Brew.
Hi-Brew.
Yuck.
Very popular.
Ugh.
Yeah. The blue, Starbucks cold brew.
Oh.
And the blue, we agree that one actually is very smooth. It has almost a buttery
Wait, did
taste
you just tell me
to it.
blue was Starbucks?
Blue is Starbucks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The yellow, Well, actually, I actually tricked you guys. There's actually 2 Atomos.
What?
Yeah, there are 2.
Okay.
The red is a Nitro Atomo.
Oh, okay.
It's less gaggy than the Hi-Brew.
And the yellow is the classic Atomo.
Oh, okay.
So, and we would actually agree with you that right now, in our development, because we're still all the time tweaking our formula and coming up with new formulas, so this is just kind of the latest batch. And we agree that we like the classic more than the Nitro right now.
Oh.
And but they definitely have different flavor profiles. And in fact, we're creating, what we would call kind of classic is pretty entry level. It doesn't have a lot of bitterness in your face. We're even going to create more of an ultra smooth. The red one was, attempt to getting a bit more bitterness, a bit more of a punch. Yeah. Because we really want to match all coffees out there. Whether it's a very bold coffee with French roast kind of style or what. So because this one might be really better with cream and sugar in it. Where the yellow one might be better just on its own.
So the one that this reminds me of that I just got a case of is the we've had it in our house for a little while. It's the medium roast. It's a Starbucks medium roast. It's like kind of like a golden brown label on top of it, but that reminds me of that. Yeah, it's very close to that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you couldn't really tell that it wasn't coffee, although some of your tasting notes for this one were interesting, like tea-like or some other.
I'm gonna have to send you some of the pu'er, and I'll send you some of the Taiwanese burnt tea.
Great, would love it. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think that the fact that it's not as bitter also is probably what we're picking up on. It is kind of an ultra smooth, roast that we got there.
So it's the Atomo regular. Is the
Atomo classic is what we're
Atomo
calling it right
classic.
now. Yeah,
Classic.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So thank you guys for trying out our coffee. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, right.
You drink a lot of it.
right, exactly.
Tasting, trying to get the full experience.
Right, yeah. It does have caffeine in it. So we dose it, 100 milligrams per, serving. So it's just, Starbucks is just 80 to 120 milligrams, so it's right in line with everything else. Yeah. And we can actually make a true no caffeine product.
Yes.
Right. So a little nighttime coffee.
Right.
Yeah.
Without the caffeine.
Yeah, right. Without the caffeine.
Nightcap.
Yeah.
Well, you could put in a little depressant, put in a little alcohol. So that
Depressant's a really interesting way. How about just like a sedative? Yeah, right. Yeah.
Nighttime cap.
All right, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to step out just for a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
So every investor that you met with had to have tried the coffee before they decided to write you a check.
Yeah, the investors that we just received this $9 million round, none of them could come to Seattle. So we had COVID, right. So we had to basically send cans of Atomo to the investors and have them kind of do their own remote testing of it. And so we never really had a chance to meet our new investors face to face throughout this whole experience.
Oh wow!
So that was
video.
Right, we would take a Zoom. We would actually walk around the lab with Zoom and show them the scientists and everything. But really, it was a whole remote experience.
Oh.
But when we raised our initial capital, the $2.5 million, we had launched a Kickstarter campaign. And
we are backers, by the way.
You're backers, yeah, super backers.
We're super backers.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And it was, just a few months after meeting with you in your kitchen and saying, hey, we're thinking of launching this Kickstarter. Should we do it? And you're like, yeah, absolutely, yes.
You can see it all over your face. You're like, no, I don't know. Like, what?
Yeah, I'm like, I really want to, but is this crazy or what? And people responded so positively to it. And these investors that have invested in Horizons Ventures, they've invested in milk without the cow and eggs without the chicken and meat without the cow. And they've invested in all these different businesses that address that, and have a sustainable message behind it, an environmentally friendly message behind it. And so they were looking for this type of business, and they'd actually been searching for coffee and related products that would meet this need. So when we hit the scene, they just randomly found out about us and then immediately flew people out to Seattle and spent about 2.5 days in our laboratory with us. and making coffee with us and learning about us, and then basically wouldn't leave until we had a signed term sheet, right? So it was,
Take our money, damn it.
well, you know, like we knew that they were the right investors for us,
Yeah.
and they were looking for something like this, and so we just had to kind of do some speed dating.
So,
And yeah.
so you're hanging out in the office the whole time, but do you guys go out afterwards and like do karaoke at night?
Oh yeah.
Like how do you eat more?
I don't remember if we did karaoke, but we definitely went out and got food. We basically hung out with these guys for 48 hours straight, or even more. Yeah, and then.
Is everyone like walking on eggshells, like you can't swear?
Oh no. By the end, we were pals. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I think they've just done so. I think they just wanted to see, like, do these guys understand what it takes to run a startup?
Duh.
And, right? Yeah. Have they done it before? Do they know what they're doing? Does the product really taste good? And because they already knew that the market size was there, that the consumers were looking for something like this, and so it was more of, are we the guys that can actually take this idea to the next level? And so after they hung out with us for a couple of days, they were like, all right, we'll place the bet. And really, when you think about it, they put in enough money so we could build a laboratory, hire more scientists, and then really build a great prototype cup. You know, they tried our early prototypes when they were here, but it was really like, can you consistently build a good cup of coffee and create a great prototype? And so
The execution.
yeah, right. Just in that early execution, right? And so that was enough money for us to build this laboratory, hire the team, and make a great cup of coffee. And so that was our goal with that first round. And then once we achieved that, we said, all right, we need to scale this from, it's called benchtop, you know, what we're doing here. It's benchtop where all the scientists are just building this like 1 liter at a time, basically. You know, right, exactly. It's super small. In fact, when we want to make 40 gallons, you know, we have to block off like a month, you know what I mean, and make 40 gallons. So we knew that we needed to prove that we could scale this operation.
Right.
And so that's what we just raised, you know, $9 million for, was to prove that we can scale the operation, that we can build a factory that can do that, and to also show that consumers want to buy it, you know, to show some traction. And so that's what this round
And
is
they're
about.
apparently buying crappy ones.
Yeah, right. And when you taste it in comparison, it's hard to believe sometimes some of the successful brands that are out there. Yeah.
So then, I gotta say this. So maybe you've heard this story, but so when Tesla originally started, so Elon was not part of that team. It was a couple of guys who wanted to build an electric car for the masses and all that stuff. They were almost universally condemned for having the dumbest idea on the face of the earth.
Right.
They went around and got rejected and degraded like no other founders ever.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
They did one meeting with Elon. He's like, okay, I'm on board.
Right.
You know, so literally it is about the right investor at the right time.
At the right time.
What they're looking for versus what you're offering.
Right.
And then, because like you didn't have to explain to him why, you know, why are we doing this kind of thing? You know, he was already interested in sustainable energy.
Right.
He already had an existential crisis about, you know, interplanetary species.
Right.
He already, you know, wanted to. He was already doing stuff with batteries and ultra capacitors.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, let's go.
We had the same thought. So, you know, early on, and that's why we did the Kickstarter, honestly. So a lot of people do a Kickstarter to raise funds to build your product. We knew that there was no way the Kickstarter was going to give us enough money to actually make this product.
Right.
But we thought by doing the Kickstarter, we might attract the attention of investors. And those investors would proactively contact us, like self-select. And so that was the main reason behind the Kickstarter.
And they did.
And they did.
They did.
It happened. That's not always going to happen, of course. But we have received so much. We've really never called a venture capitalist. You know, they've all been inbound.
Awesome.
And I know, isn't that crazy?
It's like,
Yeah, I know, it never happens, right? I mean, and I've done enough startups where I'm like, okay, everyone's calling us, you know, and which is really rare.
do you have a PR company that helps
Our
you do
PR
that?
company is Kara, who's a University of Washington student. So, I'm an advisor for the University of Washington, right? And so I was up there listening to this. I was up there advising some students, and one of the students was talking about how she was trying to do a cider roastery or a cidery. And make hard cider. And it failed, and so she had to have a night job at a bar so she could pay off her bills for her cider business or something. You know, she had this great story, right, of a total entrepreneur, you know, like was trying to hustle And I heard this story, and I interrupted her conversation and was like, "Who are you again?" And you know, and basically grabbed her immediately, and she's been with us since the garage. So it was, you know, Jared and I were working in his garage doing the early formulation. True startup, like in a legit garage with hardly any heat at all, and it was in the middle of the winter. And then we brought Kara into the garage, and she is a marketing student, you know, from the University of Washington, and a graduate, and has a lot of experience in social media and everything like that. So,
awesome.
So that really helped us out, you know, early on in telling our story.
Yeah.
You know, and so we have never had a PR agency. We received, you know, we've been in so many publications around the world, and I think it's just because it's the right time, the right story, people are receptive to this. You know, if it had been 5 years previous, probably would have been laughed at, you know.
Yeah.
And still, I think, you know, maybe a lot of the general public is still kind of warming up to this idea. But what we found is that there's an audience out there that loves this idea, and they're either early adopters that are coffee enthusiasts, or they're sustainably, you know, environmentally focused people that are also coffee enthusiasts.
Yeah.
You know.
Why is this so important? So like, why do we need like cow, like beef without the cow, eggs without the chicken, coffee without the bean? Like, why is this such a thing?
Yeah. Well, the coffee. I'll tell you just about the coffee without the bean thing, of course. But you know, we asked. So when Jared and I got together, I was looking for an idea that was better for the environment. And
he's like a former Soylent guy?
Yeah, he was, right. He was a Soylent, Chobani, Kettle on Fire, Campbell's. He's been at a lot. He's a 25-year, you know, PhD in microbiology and food science, and has done a lot of product formulation, right? Wow. So he's always reinventing products and trying to, and so I was looking for something, my next startup that was better for the planet, better for the world. Had no good ideas. And I was talking to all my entrepreneur friends about what their ideas were. And actually there were some great ones that I didn't go for. One was like a firefighting robot, you know, for like forest fires and stuff. And I'm like, these are kind of cool ideas, but you know, and Jared said, I want to reinvent coffee. I want to rebuild coffee. I'm upset with how consistent it is. The quality's not very good, and the consistency is awful. And I want a more consistent, better tasting cup of coffee. I want to build it from the ground up. And I was like, what? Yeah, exactly. What? You know, and I thought, well, I want to do something that's better for the planet. Like, this is such a cool idea, but is making coffee without the bean actually better for the planet? Right. And so we went and did a bunch of research. And it turns out that coffee's in trouble.
Coffee's in trouble?
Coffee's in trouble, and who knew? I mean, seriously, the big coffee companies have known about this for a decade, but the consumer really doesn't understand.
No, we don't know at all.
Apparently there's a bunch of deforestation happening.
Deforestation.
Palm oil and stuff like that.
Coffee is twice as bad as palm oil when it comes to a carbon footprint.
Twice as bad as palm oil?
Right, yeah, the carbon footprint of coffee is twice as bad.
We need to all, like,
stop
drinking coffee. Right.
But we don't want to stop drinking coffee. I mean, all of us love coffee, right? We love coffee.
No.
A lot of people love coffee.
Maybe not area. All right, but you know, so we started doing research, and it turns out that, you know, the scientists say that, well, actually, climate change is affecting coffee today.
Climate change is affecting coffee?
So where coffee's being grown is susceptible to climate change. In fact, the temperatures are rising. And what happens, so why does that matter, right?
Yeah.
Well, coffee, when it's too hot, it ripens too quickly.
Okay.
And when coffee ripens too quickly, it doesn't have the characteristics that takes time to build.
Right.
So it loses that flavor and the aroma that you're looking for. And so what farmers are doing is they're clearing, it's called up farming. They go further up the hill, they clear more forest up the hill, and they move the crops further uphill. So that's actually occurring. I mean, that is 200,000 hectares a year, they're clearing rainforest to move, you know, coffee plantations further up the hill. And so, you know, what's going to happen to the farmers? Well, the farmers, where they are, either that land is going to be used for something else that's more, you know, agreeable to that climate change, you know, whether it's avocado or whatever other crop they're going to grow. They're farmers, so they're going to find something else to farm at that location. But where coffee is going to be grown is further uphill, you know. And over the next 30 years, the scientists are saying that half of the coffee regions where you grow coffee today will no longer sustain coffee, and that they'll have to move. So it's actually a big problem.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is, we actually love coffee farmers. We love coffee. We don't want coffee to go away. So wherever you can grow coffee today, let's just keep growing coffee there. But let's not go tear down more rainforest to grow more coffee. You know, so if we can offset that need with a coffee that's better for the planet and made from upcycled material, then that seems like a win-win for everybody.
Seriously. Yeah. I mean, there's I read an article about forests possibly creating wind. So it's a new idea. Maybe it's not a new idea to the folks who are theorizing about it, but yeah, the idea that it's actually forests that can create wind in the world, and so if you level all the forests, then what happens to the wind and all the follow-on effects and stuff. So I should find that article and send it to you.
I like that.
Yeah.
I don't. Can a coffee farm create wind? I don't know.
But we need the rainforest.
Yeah, we're
pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think we're all in agreement. Like, forest good.
Trees good.
Trees good, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Monoculture bad. Yeah, and that's what's going on.
How long has the journey been going now since you jumped feet first, head first?
Right.
From the kitchen table?
From the kitchen, yeah.
We use kitchen table.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it was about 2 years ago that I was at your kitchen
Was
table.
I pregnant then?
Yeah.
I was pregnant then, right? Before?
Yeah.
Oh, you must
Before
have
the quinoa.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were pregnant back then. That's right. Yeah. So it was about 2 years ago that we started in the garage. Early on, we were tasting some of our early samples, and they weren't very good, right? And so we didn't know if it was possible. And then a few months into it, we had a batch where we were like, this isn't very good, but this is possible. Like it gave us the belief.
Trajectory.
Yeah, we could see that actually this is going to work. But we had to learn a lot along the way. I mean, our early approach of just kind of taking purified compounds and putting them together and blending them together it was the wrong approach. Like we realized that it's coffee. You can look at what's in coffee at a molecular level and say, oh, it's all these different compounds. So let's just go get those compounds and put them together in a glass and stir it up and it actually does not work that way. Yeah, right. Yeah, and so it's a much more complicated process that requires this depth of taste and aroma that you just can't get by mixing a bunch of chemicals together.
So you've learned a whole bunch of new things, new
Oh,
skills, your knowledge on this whole world.
It's Jared and the team, basically. A lot of people smarter than us. I mean, we have 5 PhDs on the team right now that are working on this. There's about 15 of us on the team right now, and almost all our scientists, and food scientists, and chemists, and this kind of stuff. And so, but they're working on the reactions. And how do you react ingredients to generate these compounds that then give you coffee targets that we're trying to target, and so then how do we combine all those together to create this match to the fingerprint of like what is coffee? And so just the more time we have and the more ingredients that we can scan and the more reactions we can create and the more experience we get, the closer and closer and closer we're going to get to coffee and then the different varietals. So this is just we're early in the journey. We're in the ballpark right now, right? We can look at our coffee, we can run it, through mass spec, and we can look at like, okay, how are we comparing on our compounds versus other coffees? And we see like, hey, we're getting pretty close. So we just know there's ones that we're, deficient on, and there's ones where we're over-indexing. And so it's just about kind of dialing our process to make it work.
I heard a story from Malcolm Gladwell that the unintended consequence of moving away from beef tallow as the deep frying material for French fries was, so they moved to vegetable oil. And so apparently a bunch of uniforms, when they were all put into a big truck to go get laundered from the McDonald's restaurants, from the workers who were standing over the vegetable fryers now, you could throw a whole bunch of uniforms into a truck and then they would spontaneously combust.
What?
I'm serious. I gotta find that show and send it to you. But it's like an unintended consequence of like, oh, let's use animal fat for healthier French fries, and then you have spontaneously combusting, uniforms because of the grease and everything is inside.
It's like a rag, from varnishing a floor or something like that. You put all those together and they spontaneously combust.
I heard that in a podcast, and it's
interesting.
And
I guess it's one of those internet things that sounds believable, so you believe it.
Well, they had to tweak that formula for the vegetable
Oh,
you
interesting.
know, several times so that the uniform just
Wouldn't stop
exploding.
And you're eating that stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Wait, so then the question now is, so like about 2 years in, what are your projections on, you know, a range of, you know, release dates for
What's going to happen?
What's going to happen? Well, we've just secured a facility in Seattle where we're going to be
Yay,
making...
Washington State!
Yeah.
Department of Commerce is happy!
Yeah, right, exactly. And it's, we can practically throw a rock and hit the Starbucks headquarters. You know, so we're down in SoDo area.
Could be frenemies.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, so anyway, we are going to be close to the Starbucks headquarters, and we're right now building that facility, like building the interior of it, our production line.
Cool.
Yeah. So we think at the end of Q1 of 2021 is when we're going to have product kind of coming out of that facility. So it's it takes, you know, a lot of us are used to software, right? Development, and of course, this is a factory, right? So it's nothing like software.
It's
a physical world,
Yeah.
and so it has some limitations, and we have to, you know, it takes a process, and so we're going through all that right now, permitting and, you know, planning and everything else. So, but end of Q1 is when we'll start getting some product.
The world of atoms is a lot more difficult than the world of electrons. Like
Yeah.
actual building stuff.
Right. Yeah.
You're building, you know, products that are consumed by people, and so that's even more sensitive. But I mean, end of Q1. I mean, that's 7.
really
I mean, this is
Yeah.
already September basically.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
6 months.
Yeah, 6-7 months away, it'll be happening. Yeah. So we have to do a lot of things right between now and then, you know, and we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
But maybe one thing could hang us up. We don't really know yet, but we're doing our best to try to, you know, at least understand where the roadblocks could be, and then take care of those. But really, over the last few months, what we've been doing is just testing all the new equipment that we want to buy, you know, doing trials on it, making sure that it's going to work for our, you know, use case. Because we looked at other coffee roasteries and other brewing facilities, you know, beer brewing facilities, and we thought, you know, is there any factory that we could just leverage and use? And it turns out that there's not. There's not any like factory in place today that we could just take over and immediately make our coffee. Our coffee uses a whole set of techniques that aren't used typically together.
Okay.
So that's why we've had to create our own.
Can I ask a non-related question?
Yeah.
So like in these 2 years, and you know, I mean, you have a long history of being a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about money? Like, what do you think about money? The big general question.
Oh man.
What is money to you, and how do you manage it now, today? Because we're in a pandemic. You know, lots going on with the dollar and the Fed, and
Oh boy.
That's a lot of questions.
That's a lot of questions. How do I think
it's a
about
big question,
money?
but like, give us some thoughts on how you think
Well,
about
I mean,
money right now.
I could go 100 different directions here.
Yeah.
My first thought about money is the reason why I actually wanted to do something that was better for the planet was because I wanted to stop making money for banks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Amen.
Right, yeah. So it's like, why get another job where I'm just helping the banking industry as a whole make more money? Like, that is not fulfilling. So,
You know what was particularly irritating for me was these startups who were going to change the world. They got, you know, awesome growth, they got great traction, and then they would just sell out to, you know, a legacy financial organization. Yeah,
Sure.
it's like, well, I thought you guys were going to change the world.
Right,
Let's
yeah.
sell out to it.
To get crushed. right, exactly. You know, I kind of always thought that the banks and financial institutions were just lining up to buy it's your turn to buy the next one to kill it, and it's your turn to buy the next one to kill it. You know what I mean? Like, it just always feels that way, doesn't it? You know, like, whose turn is it to buy the next one and then crush it? So, you know, but that, because why rock the boat? I mean, they've got a money-making machine going on. So when I think about money, I actually try to not think about money now these days, like, at all. And I think that because, I mean, here we are in the middle of a pandemic. We received funding. We're kind of bucking the trend right now, and so I think that we're the wrong person to ask about money, because we absolutely are not in reality right now. You know, everyone else is experiencing a different reality at the moment than we are. We're really thankful for that, but at the same time, like, I don't think money to me. I've abstracted the concept of money now, because it's all about product, momentum, focus, happiness, all these other things that I try to put, you know, fulfillment, like the self-fulfillment in front of money. And money is it comes out of doing these things really well, you know?
Yeah.
So if I'm happy and I'm working on a product that I care about and it's better for the environment and it's doing all these things, money's just a byproduct of that, you know? And so I used to chase the money because money was kind of, the business was built around money, around payments and around other things. And so money was kind of wrapped into the goal as a whole. And so since I've just removed it from the equation, I found that actually doing something you love that's better for the environment, that's better for someone else, like being of service to others, and being of service to our employees and doing these things, then the money just happens. Or it doesn't. But I think focusing on the money is the wrong place to focus.
Well, if you just focus on the money and it doesn't come, then you're apt to be pretty miserable. But if you're in the journey and doing the service markers and making the impact that you want to make, but then you know if stuff happens and it doesn't come in the very end, then, at least you had the journey. And
I mean, I think. Can I make one other comment on the money thing? Because
please.
I think the biggest lesson I learned is that a lot of entrepreneur friends of mine would chase the money to the point where they're like, hey, I missed my daughter's graduation. But it was because my biggest client called and I had to go I had to go fly away and I missed her graduation, but now I have millions and I'm on my yacht, you know what I mean? And for years, I made those trade-offs. I was, you know, hey, I've got to go do this thing and sacrifice these other things, family, what have you, because I'm chasing this dollar, and that's what people do. And if I want those dollars, I better make those same sacrifices, and I got caught in that mindset. And so, but then that business didn't work out, and I didn't make the millions. And so I could look back later and say, oh, I traded, you know, things that were valuable for me to try to make money, and then I didn't get the money. And now I can really see that was a poor trade. Friends of mine that actually sacrificed the things they love to make money and then made money, I don't think they can really understand the sacrifice they made, you know, because they ultimately did get money, you know what I mean? They still made the same sacrifice. And so by going through this experience where I sacrificed things that I cared about to chase money and then didn't get the money, made me understand the sacrifice and made me understand that it wasn't worth it. Albeit too late, but at least I don't have to go through the rest of my life doing that. You know what I mean? Like at least I can understand it then. Like I'm pretty old now, but at least I'm getting. You know, I can still stop making bad decisions, right? You know, so
we're the same age.
Full
disclosure.
So I don't know. That's been my big thing now.
I remember you telling me that story, and you're like Andy wearing the mentoring hat for me, and it like really, I was like. Yeah. So I made a lot of life changes after that. It really made a difference. And I think more entrepreneurs and just people at work need to think about the trade-offs they're making and really be mindful about it. And work will always be there. It'll always, you know, there will be more of it, right?
Right. Yeah. It's everyone's got to, like, the other question. This is not related now, but everyone says, when should I leave my company and do my startup? You know what I mean? Like that kind of plays into this too. Like, you know, when do I stop this normal life that I have, 9 to 5, and let it all go and join this thing? And everyone has such a different threshold in their mind about when that's a viable opportunity. You know, and for you guys, you've had to have this conversation all the time. You know, all the different startups you've been involved in. So it's like, I'm curious. Like, how do you make that decision? How long do you go before you decide you have to do the startup? Like, does it happen right away from the first minute you come up with the idea, or do you analyze the heck out of it, or do you
You sit and stew for as long as humanly possible until you cannot live at the idea of living and existing another moment or dying the next day without having done it.
Yeah. And so I totally agree. That's when people do it. That's like the jumping off point, right? Like they can't stand it. But how long does that take you to get there?
I mean, for one of my companies took me 10 years.
Took you 10 years. All right, so there you go. Sometimes it can take 10 years.
Sometimes it can take a really long time, and then Dave was like, go do it or stop talking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it is about regret. And so what point are you going to be able to live with that finite amount of regret? And at one point, is the regret going to be so much that you're going to be later on like I want to throw yourself off a bridge every day, you know, because I should have done it.
So it wasn't even about like the financial opportunity or anything. It was about like, if I don't do this, I'm just going to regret that I never did it. It was a self-fulfillment piece.
I mean, as an investor, I mean, you probably know this, but it took a little while to get there. But what you have to optimize for is the downside. So you can put, you know, a bunch of angel checks into a bunch of different companies, and what's your downside? Well, if it's a 10K check, 10K, right? But then, like, are you going to regret that you didn't write a check to Atomo?
Right, exactly.
10 years later,
that's
right.
That's already regretting it.
Exactly.
You know, so it's like that is the regret minimization. That's a big part of it. So it's which is sort of like risk mitigation.
Right.
And so you don't want to go all in on Bitcoin, not have some sort of a hedging.
That's another question.
Hold on, not have a hedging, you know, plan behind, you know, going all in on something like that. You know what I mean?
So you're the guy that with the Bitcoin miners, and that was really the house for a while, all that sort of stuff. Are you still into it?
No.
Do you still have it? Do you care about it? Do you follow it?
All hackers no, I have no Bitcoin. We should. The last time I heard about Bitcoin anywhere, I got freaking attacked, hacked. My phone got bricked. Everything got out in your place.
I remember.
Holy shit! I'm like,
we lost ours too yesterday.
The Bitcoin miner is not heating the house anymore. Jana put an end to that. I still have the tubing going through my garage. I bonk my head on it every time I get in my car.
Reminder of that.
Really appreciate
Dude,
great to see you. Seriously.
Good to see you guys.
Big fan.
Thank you guys.
Congratulations on the beginning of the journey, because I mean we're kind of leaning on this topic a second ago, but like one of my big filters for getting to know founders is trying to figure out if I can tell if they're truly in it to be in it, or just in it for the money.
For the money, right?
Yeah. Because you know, you hear about these overnight success stories. They're never overnight success stories. It's like if you're lucky, person who I'm talking to with a revolutionary idea. If you're lucky, you get to work on this for 10 years. And then you might see an inkling of something, you know, something really happening. You know, it's like if you look at all the amazing startup stories, it's like, yeah, we did this for a few years, that for a few years, and then around 10-ish is like when it really started going.
Nick Kuzer was in the trenches of despair for 6.5, 7 years, right? Offer up.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. 7-10 years easily.
And guys like, guys like Bill Gates, you know, they had their big one, you know, Microsoft. It's like, if you're lucky, you will never be able to get out of, you know, having that identity and having done that beast of a company, you know, that kind of thing. So,
but you have to enjoy it too along the way. That's what I've learned too. So the culture that we've put together and just trying to have fun every day, it's such a big part of it too. So I want to make sure that, you know, we all enjoy coming to work and that we all love what we're doing, because you know, as soon as this gets boring or turns into something else, I mean, we have so much creative energy here that as soon as this isn't creative anymore, it's going to be painful. You know what I mean? And I know that might happen one day, you know, when this company starts getting bigger and it's more operational, you know. But I really don't want us to lose that focus about trying to be innovative and trying to do creative things and trying to solve problems and trying to be better for the environment. Just letting those things drive us to always be innovating. So that's what we're hoping for.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
It's great to see you guys.
Thank you again.
Yeah. All right.
It's super fun.
Come
I've been wanting to do this, like,
I know you guys already have Atomo swag.
No, but we want a sweatshirt.
Good. Yeah. Let's hit the gift shop on the way out. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exit through the gift shop, please.
Exit through the gift shop.
All right. Welcome back. That was the visit. Hope you enjoyed it. It was a ton of fun.
So much fun.
I was really, really shocked at how close. I mean, it really does taste exactly like coffee, even though there's no coffee beans in it at all. And so learned a lot about the environment and what, you know, the world's consumption of coffee is doing to the environment. Talked about that, talked about money with Andy as well. Thanks a lot, Andy, again, for having us down to the office at the lab and showing us around.
And Kara for helping with everything.
Yep, that's it. So thanks for joining us for the show.
Thank you for spending time with us. We hope you enjoyed it and learned as much as we did. If you have any questions, feel free to ping us at any time at Lugashanki, at Arry in Seattle, at Windshield Time. Podcast is who we are. Don't forget to review, rate, subscribe.
Rate, review, subscribe, and share.
Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and share.
You know what that's like? That's like having the script supervisor. When the actors don't say the script like they're supposed to. Instead of the director yelling at the actors to say it right, you hire a person who holds the book and the script, and they're off to the side, and they yell at the actor to say the words in the script like it's supposed to be.
Oh, you're my supervisor.
Script supervisor.
Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and share. Thank you. Together we rise.
Yeah, be nice, y'all. Thanks for your time. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Welcome to Windshield Time, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. This podcast is non-technical, fun, informative way to learn about money, Bitcoin, blockchains, crypto, and digital assets for busy parents and working folks who are curious about these new technologies. Day, Arry, and their guests talk about these evolutionary systems of money and what they do, y'all. Because what part of your life does money not touch? This podcast is not financial advice, and your reactions are your total and complete responsibility, y'all. Now, thanks again, and enjoy the show.
This is the gift shop, right here.
So we're in the gift shop.
You are in the gift shop, right? Exactly.
This is awesome.
Yeah, these are the small sizes up here.
I have those.
So you have these. All right.
Yeah.
So I think these are just all the different styles right here. Are we a clothing company or a coffee company? Sometimes it's hard to tell.
That's cool.
Look at that.
Sweet.
Would you wear it? Do
Yeah,
it.
of course.
Oh, right on.
I love swag.
Yeah. All right. Good.
I live for swag.
Nice.
One startup that we know of was joking around that you know, it's like if their service product doesn't work out, they'll just sell, you know,
Sell swag.
merch.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
we'll just turn
Exactly.
into a merch store.
Wow, you look so cold. We're only in like the heat of summer right now.
Hold on.
I want to do it.
That's a long clap.
Oh,
wait a minute.
Oh, after my rate, review, subscribe, and share, flub.
And then of course the
No.
really good one. Okay, good. All right.